moving on to the next item on the agenda. So we've had a lot of buzzwords, right, in the recent past. COVID, monkeypox, abortion, so many things. But there has been one particular buzzword that has been creeping up to gain a lot of attention, and that is Metaverse. So what is Metaverse? Is it the future of the internet? Is it a video game? Or is it just a very depressing version of Zoom? We don't know. So to tell us more about it, I'd like to invite and introduce our moderator of this next panel discussion, who's world famous in BNI, Kamal Alvani. Kamal is a senior consultant with Nexus Insurance Brokers. He's raised in Dubai, and he has so many decades of experience in life and keyman insurance. Earlier, he had a very, very fancy job working as a stockbroker on Wall Street in New York. I asked him something that no one knows about him, and without battling an eyelid, he said, "I'm not scared of my wife." Took a second, the story doesn't end here. He took a second and he said, "You asked me for a joke, right?" And then I said, "No, I asked you for something that no one knows about you." And he said, "I was the most shy kid in school." That's not true. It doesn't feel true, because personally, I have known Kamal to be one of the most passionate and the most expressive individuals representing his profession. On that note, I'd like to invite Kamal Alvani, who will introduce his panelists.
Thank you, Ankita. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Yes, I love you too. So our topic for today is Metaverse and Web 3.0. And I think we are blessed to be alive in this time. We are entering a new phase. But there's another reason as well why we are blessed. Because we are almost certain everybody in this room actually saw the birth of internet. I'm most certain all of you at some point had to connect to the internet through a router, use your phone line. Yes, I can see heads nodding, right? And I don't know who grew up over here, but in the 90s when internet first came here, do you want to guess how much was the internet for 1 hour usage by Tesla? 26 dirhams, that is right. 26 dirhams for 1 hour to listen to that annoying noise to get connected. And then slowly the rates came down, 12, 8. And I remember the least it went down to was 3 dirhams. And I was having a chat with my friends that, guys, it's finally 3 dirhams to use the internet. That's how happy we were. And today we are entering Web 3.0, which is still a jargon for most of us, but we are blessed that we've got 3 people over here who already entered the space. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce 3 people who are going to share their knowledge and tell us what exactly is the Metaverse and how business can be conducted over there. Our first speaker for today is the founder and director of bankofbullion.com and Clink.gold, which is a gold-backed stablecoin on the Binance blockchain, Nick Patel. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. Our second speaker is the founder and CEO of Next Protocol. It's a gaming platform which converts games from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shaikh Hamdan. Thank you. Our final speaker is the founder and CEO of Passive.ae, which is an investment app with artificial intelligence assistance that helps you build a diversified long-term portfolio. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vinay Gokaldas. Thank you all for being here. It is my pleasure to be on this panel and get enlightened on exactly what the Metaverse is. Now, before we begin, I think the most common question, we all have our version of what the Metaverse is. So I'm going to ask the 3 of you, what is your definition of the Metaverse?
So, Kamal, what the Metaverse is to me, it's basically an amalgamation of both our real world and virtual world. So, if you see some of the futuristic things, we will be living partially in these virtual worlds. We'll be doing our Zoom meetings more in a virtual manner. And a lot of our experiences that we have daily life will be more immersed into the technology.
Okay, thank you. Shaikh?
Hello. Yeah. My version is very simple. We are in the physical world. So there is a physical world, then digital world, and virtual world. So connecting us to the virtual world, that is Metaverse. Very simple.
It's very simple. Vinay, hear from
You know, I like to think of the metaverse as something that probably all of us can relate to. You know, we all have cousins or siblings or friends who are quite crazy fanatics about, video games, whether that's Fortnite or PUBG. Traditionally these games have been find a weapon and go kill as many people as you can, right? But I think if you can evolve your, thinking to something that's more of a community, something where you meet people in this sort of immersive environment, that's really what the metaverse is going to become. A first iteration of this, we started playing video games and shooting against a computer. Then we started playing video games and shooting against friends in the same room with us. That changed, and then now we're alone in that video game, shooting against people all over the world. And finally, in 2020, you're now shooting against people who are living all over the world, and you're communicating with them. So we have kids, we have cousins who have some of their best friends in these worlds, and they've never met them in the real world, but they know a lot about them, whether that person's in Korea or in Japan. That's the first iteration of the metaverse, where you're building that bond, that relationship, that community online.
Thank you, Vinay. So that brings me to my next question, actually. What are the different ways we can enter the metaverse? If Shaikh, I know you're working with some projects. For me, what I think of is having those headsets to enter the metaverse. But can you tell us what are the other ways to enter?
Yeah, sure. When we say metaverse, most of us will think, we connect through the VR headset. So it's not necessary we need to connect through the headset only. It can be just directly from your PC, and it can be from your wristband, it can be from headband or your cap, your glass, and nowadays there is a internet, shoes are there, so you can connect through your shoes also. So there are many ways to get into the metaverse, so it's not required only on a VR headset.
So if there are ways to enter the metaverse which you access, what are the current businesses that are already there on the metaverse?
If you look at it, there are in UAE itself, the government is taking a lot of initiative. So there is a fashion is there already. So if you look at most of the major fashion is there. Nike is is there in very aggressively. Then there are a few more interesting projects are coming up in UAE. I think they'll be announcing it very shortly.
Right. Nick, you have a business running on the web currently.
Correct. But one of the things that I'm seeing over there is lawyers. In the legal hemisphere, especially on the metaverse, you'll find right now there's a very prominent New Jersey law firm that is already arbitrating on land disputes because people are buying land in the virtual communities. So there's a lot of opportunity for various sectors, whether it's a business, it's a service. It's literally a reflection of the real world. So you'll get every commerce in there sooner or later.
All right. Vinay, are you aware of any other businesses on the metaverse currently?
It's completely varied, right? There's a lot happening. It's very early stage, so it's difficult to really pin down what these businesses are going to evolve into, but I'm sure some of us have seen some of the headlines. I mean, there are banks opening little branches in the metaverse where you can come and interact with a salesperson. There are early versions of fashion wear being sold in the metaverse. So if you think about you yourself in that video game sort of character, what are you wearing, right? You can wear Gucci and Prada if you want in that. You're just going to have to pay for it. Are you going to pay for it and buy an actual Gucci and Prada, footwear or apparel? Well, that's some of the early sort of businesses happening in metaverse. Characterization. Another thing that's happening in the metaverse is, vehicles. How do you get around the metaverse? Are you going to ride around in a car, in a bicycle? These are things that are being sold as digital items in these worlds, right? So it's not really clear till now which of these worlds is going to emerge as a sort of iOS or Android of the metaverse. But it's easy to see how, with enough capital and backing onto some of these virtual worlds, it will garner enough of the critical mass for a lot of us to be on them. And I think Mark Zuckerberg is one of those people that's hoping that Meta's Horizons is going to be one of those places.
Well, I'm sure this is a question. We've got so many business owners in the room. What type of businesses should be ready to get on the metaverse?
I'll take that first, yeah. If your business is visual in nature, right? If you see yourself at one of these trade shows and you have a screen there displaying your product, or you have an iPad where you're going through a catalog of sorts, or you have a digital product in nature that has a very visual aspect to it, that is an incredible opportunity for you to be on the metaverse. Because it's going to be more immersive, it's going to be more audiovisual. We're looking at some of the headsets today and we're thinking, how are people really going to wear this for hours at a time? What happens when some of these headsets are narrowed down to just a pair of sunglasses? That's really where things are moving. So if you can sort of start preparing yourself in terms of your DNA as a company, how do we sell online? Do you have somebody selling your product today on WhatsApp? If they are selling your product on WhatsApp, what is that interaction that's happening? What is the mode of that interaction? What are the words they use? That sort of DNA and building that capability today is going to be important for the metaverse.
Okay. Shaikh, which businesses, according to you, should be ready for the metaverse?
See, I can tell you a couple of examples. So if you look at it in UAE, TDRA, Telecom and Digital Regulatory Authority. So they have to be prepared for any issues. Now, if there is a internet down in certain areas, so how to prepare for that? So they need to train all their stakeholders like Etisalat, Yasat, then other security communication department. So all of them should prepare for this. So how to train them? How to create that kind of a atmosphere? It's not easy, in a real world. You cannot disconnect the internet. So in a metaverse, you can maybe you can disconnect maybe one of the cable from the undersea. Then how these people are taking care of the steps. So this is one of the examples which we have done successfully, and all the stakeholders are happy. And the second example is that the most, if you wanted to check into a hotel, the most annoying thing is that check-in process. Sometimes it takes even 20 minutes to check in. So how to avoid it? So now we are discussing with one of the largest hotel chain here. So you can do complete check-in using the metaverse. So it's smooth. Then you can just get into your hotel. And before you check in, you can see your hotel room. You can see sometime you got a room, so you are telling, no, I don't want this room. You want to change the room. It's a hassle. So all those things can be avoided. So these are the two examples which we are working at this moment.
Thank you. Nick, you already are on the web space with your business, ClinkCoin. Can you tell us more how you started it and where we are
So one
right
of the things you need in the metaverse, or in fact any of the virtual worlds, is a currency. And that's what we developed, Clink.gold. It's a gold asset-backed token which is used in the virtual world to transact. So, for instance, one of the most popular metaverses is called Sandbox. They have their own token called Sand. And the idea is for us, in the same way you use any of these nominal currencies like Ethereum, you'll use Bitcoin, in the same way we wanted to create a token which is not just available, but it's also real, it's backed, it's physically backed by real gold. So it's, at any given time there is a tangible asset behind it. It's not just an algorithm, and the possibility of transferability as well. So we're looking into new ways where you can, use it and pay Visa, debit cards. So the whole plethora around being able to shop in your virtual metaverse.
Right. So that brings me to the next question then. What is the role of cryptocurrency in the metaverse? Right? We've got so many coins right now, Bitcoin, Ether, everything's crashed right now. But do we have to have all these currencies, or will we eventually move to a few currencies to trade on the metaverse?
It's an evolving space. It's a revolving door. You probably heard there was a big collapse of one of the major ones around 6 weeks ago. So things will change. There'll be winners and losers like anything. When the internet came out in the mid-90s, we had the dot-com boom. If you remember, sort of from 97 up to around 2001 before it crashed, and there's 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 players that are still here today. And in the same way, this is the evolving space. You'll get your winners, you'll get your losers, but you have to do your homework, you have to do your research, and I hope we're at the forefront of that.
Right. Shaikh, your thoughts on cryptocurrency, since you are with the governments right now?
Yes, see, in the real world, we need a currency to do the things, transactions. So in the metaverse also, you need some kind of tokens to do the transaction. So token got an important role in metaverse.
Okay. But what would be the way to earn these tokens? I mean, right now we go do our activities and earn our income. Will that be similar, or would there be alternate ways to earn these tokens as well in the metaverse? Vinay?
Yeah, I think, look, crypto is going to play a very synonymous, symbiotic relationship with some of these virtual worlds. Some of these virtual worlds arguably will not have the interaction with fiat currency. They will entirely just be in cyberspace. You think about land today in the metaverse, right? there's a plot of land, there's a fixed amount of land in, say, Decentraland, right? And if you want to open up a shop in Decentraland in one of these metaverses, you have to purchase a piece of land or rent it. Now, if you're going to purchase a piece of land, you can imagine there's now a whole financial space emerging of people giving you mortgages for that piece of land. Those mortgages are effectively just smart contracts built on Ethereum or some of these blockchains. And if you default on your payment on that mortgage, the very next second that land goes up for sale, and you see the for sale sign on that land. So arguably, crypto is going to make the virtual world extremely seamless when it comes to commerce and fluid. And that in itself is going to be a massive opportunity.
So that brings me to the next question, because businesses are being conducted, and maybe it's too early right now, but where is the role of auditing and compliance with so many businesses being run over there right now? Do we have something in concrete right now? Are we moving to a direction where things would get legalized in a way?
So most of the protocols are decentralized, which means they already have inherent or inbuilt protocols. So there's rules, there's already things in place. For instance, the example I gave of the online or the metaverse lawyer, that can be one of two parts. That could be like an AI that's learning, and as it learns it, basically it's able to arbitrage disputes. So there's various mechanisms, and it's mainly AI. Maybe Shaikh, you can expand on how the AI actually helps resolve and follow the protocol, right?
Yes. So as Nick said, that there is already the lawyers are there. So if you look at it, some of them there is a majority of voting is there. So voting is also it's pretty, and in blockchain everything is transparent. So that is the biggest advantage. So no one can manipulate it. So that is another advantage of.
So, brings to the next question, the experience of the metaverse. Right now, from what I understand, it's just a visual experience. But would the rest of our senses ever come into play in the metaverse?
So, if you, according to Hendrik von Schiele, now we are talking about metaverse, but we are moving to the miniverse. So, what is miniverse? Miniverse is not only seeing it can be any of the nanochips or neuro technology using that, and now quantum computing is coming. So with this, you are just thinking that, okay, I need to book a Uber, so that's it. So then immediately it is taken care. So it is much faster. So according to him, the growth is not double, not 10 times, not even 100 times. It's in next 5 years, it is 1,000 times. So you can imagine what are the things we are going to see in 5 years.
Okay. Yeah. What is this role of the avatar in the metaverse?
Yeah, okay. So one of the examples is that our keynote speaker, and you also know you wanted to listen to your wife. So if I can create a couple of avatars, and one avatar can listen to her always, so she is very happy, and one avatar can take care of my calls, and one avatar can answer the calls with my meetings, attend my meetings. So I can create multiple of avatars of mine, and which can handle all these things, and I can be free. I can maybe go to the sea and I can enjoy my life. So that's why we are seeing it. So we all will have a beautiful life in the future with the help of Metaverse.
So just expanding on what he said, and something that Vinay touched upon as well. Everyone probably heard of the word NFTs, and you see all these avatars on NFTs. So today, we're all dressed and you're walking in the real world. You judge a man by what he's wearing, etc. And in the virtual world, you'll be looking at his avatar. For example, there's these avatars now going for like $500,000. So if this guy is walking in the metaverse with this avatar, you immediately know he's worth something. So it's kind of, trying to replicate the real world, but in a digital format.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. If your wife is upset, your avatar can, get the beating over there. It's been learning. To the audience, are there any questions you guys have for our panel? Yes, sir. Please. You can speak. Yes, thank you.
With Metaverse gaining so much of momentum, I am sure very soon even one-to-one can also happen on Metaverse. So is there any plan on having a one-to-ones in Metaverse?
Good to know. BJ, I think we need to sign up on the Metaverse. Any other questions from the audience? But that's a good one. Yes, we can have a one-to-ones.
That's for
BNI is investing heavily.
Excellent question, sir.
So, why would I want to pay money to have some space in the digital world when it's not real? Okay, for a business, it's a different thing. So you get some space on it or whatever. But you're creating a world to replicate this actual world, and then there is a property that I buy. It's a corner property. It will be more expensive than a one which is in the center and a premium property. What do I get for that?
Okay.
I think that's very healthy skepticism, sir. I think that's incredibly healthy skepticism. I mean, if you think about it, guys, how many of you here are skeptical about the metaverse? Just raise your hand. You can be very honest about it. Excellent, excellent. So I'm sort of on the border myself, and what are we actually doing? Are we just blindly following the whims and the fantasies of some of the richest men on earth who have just run out of ideas and trying to convince us all to get on this electronic platform where we can somehow make themselves more money? Is that really what's happening? Have that skepticism, because that is healthy to have as this thing evolves. Now, that being said, we cannot stop the fact that we are shifting a lot of our lives to digital. We cannot stop the fact that perhaps our kids and the following generation is going to prefer that interaction over interaction in the real world. And I'll tell you why. We live here in the UAE where our interaction and our day-to-day lives are generally happy, I want to say. We live in a society that's enabling. You guys are BNI members. You're achieving your dreams, as the keynote speaker said. You're being enabled to achieve those dreams. But put yourself in a situation of people living in a much more oppressive part of the world where they cannot be themselves, right? They cannot discover their true potential. They're living in a political nightmare, or they're living where they're not free to express their ideas. There's a whole billion, variety of that's ready to shift their lives and spend more time in a digital space. And reaching and catering to those customers, whether you're, say, design smith, and one of those people has a little house in the metaverse and he wants it to be designed to the highest spec, selling that business and selling your services online to those people arguably is where a lot of this is coming from.
Yep. Great. Thank you, Vinay. Do we have any more questions in the audience? So here's a question I have, Vinay, and probably a silly question. Are we going to see people on the streets at all, or are we all going to be sitting on our headsets, interacting, everything on the metaverse, and probably take a break, we just put the goggles up?
Shaikh is the guy who is closest to that sort of interaction today, so I'm going to let him...
No, I didn't get the question clearly.
My question is that are we actually going to be seeing people on the streets, in the malls, or is everything going to be on our VR headsets?
No, it's not required on a VR headset. That's what I told you. No? This can be in multiple devices. So the...
Yes, you'll get a chance to ask the next question.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So based on that, so your thoughts itself can read, system can read, and it can nanotechnology and neurotechnology. Based on that, it can take care of the action. So it'll be much faster and much accurate.
Okay. See, the way you got to look at it is just an extension of what we already have on the internet. For instance, you want to go shopping, you'll have a hologram with a 3D image of yourself completely exactly replicating you in the virtual world, and you're able to shop. You can perhaps go to 50 shops without leaving your armchair. If you want to drive a car or have that experience or visit a place, all these experiences are just an extension of what we already have. So you have an e-commerce website that sells many, many items, but in the metaverse, you can experience it in a different way before you decide to buy. So all I see it's an extension of what we have to make it a better thing.
All right, good stuff. So brings me to my last question is, from all three of you, one big opportunity that you see in the metaverse. Vinay?
Yeah. I think real estate in the metaverse is a massive opportunity. It's going to be one of the primary opportunities. You think about how Dubai was developed, the very early game was real estate. So if we're looking at the next 5 years, the next 10 years, I think real estate in the metaverse, create a real estate portfolio, provide real estate services, whether that's brokerage, mortgaging, whatever you have, real estate is going to be the next first big thing in the metaverse. Identifying which of these virtual worlds is going to have that critical mass and where all our businesses and all of us are going to want to spend the most amount of time on, that is going to play a key role in this whole real estate thing. It's just the same as in the real world, identifying location, location, location.
Thank you. Shaikh. Yes.
And my point of view is that the keynote speaker said that if you have a dream and if you have a vision, then you can be successful. So if you have a dream and if you have vision, we can help you to create a metaverse and you can be the next Facebook or Google or whatever it is.
Thank you. Nick, one big opportunity, the metaverse.
For me, I think it's a way you can simplify your life. Things will get a lot easier. It'll make you, if you're putting a business out there, if you're one of the early adapters, so, perhaps you've got the chance to have exponential growth. So, there's a billions of opportunities.
Good stuff. Thank you. Well, yes, we've got a few questions. Yes, ma'am.
One of the architects on Metaverse. So one of my company in India, which is called Galactic Group, we are the architects for Disney right now on the Metaverse. And I just want to update or make it very simple for everybody what is Metaverse is all about. So if you guys go to your home and watch a movie called Free Guy, and there's one more movie called Ready Player One. If you see these two movies, you will understand what is going to be the Metaverse. It's a very, very simple movies. It's all about a video game getting played online. But then in that, it has been shown that how the construction is happening in Metaverse, how the players will play their role, what are other peoples are doing. So in Free Guy, there's a guy who's in a virtual world, and there's an outside lady who's controlling. She's getting in love with that guy, getting feelings with her. And all of a sudden, this AI technology gets attached with that lady. Okay, so Metaverse is all about AI. So we are moving towards an artificial intelligence. And Metaverse is trying to, what we are trying to make with Metaverse is all about AI technology. That I am sitting down in Dubai and want to be meeting somebody in US or UK, but I cannot physically travel, correct? But I want to meet with that guy in person. So Metaverse is all about that. Now, if I travel to US, where I'm going to stay? I have to stay in a hotel, correct? Now that comes down to real estate. So the hotel has to have an accommodation. In the Metaverse, it will be the same thing. So from one land, I will be traveling to another land, where the other land, where I'll have a hotel, I'll have all the accommodation, my avatar will have all the accommodation. And that's how it will.
Thank you.
I would suggest see these two movies, you will able to understand Metaverse.
I think that's what we're going to do at the next social. More chapters. Watch these movies. We'll take one last question from the gentleman over here.
It's a great movie, by the way, Ready Player One. Great movie.
My question is, how big is the Metaverse? Like Shaikh mentioned, if you've got problems with your wife, you can go ahead to the sea and sit and relax. Like, what is the land to sea split in the Metaverse? Is it 70-30 like we have in the global world that we live in? I mean, I would like to know the split of land to sea in the Metaverse.
Well, I think
so there isn't one Metaverse. Let's start by saying there isn't one Metaverse with any finite space. You, sir, can go and start tomorrow to create your own Metaverse and decide your own ratio of land to mountains to sea. It's up to you. It's purely digital. It's just digital. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So, guys, if you guys know a little bit more about the Metaverse today than you did 30 minutes ago, please let's give a huge round of applause for these guys. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Ankita, all yours. Thank you.